but it is lights out. And away we go for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix of 2023. Charles Leclerc already going down the inside of turn 1 to take the lead. And wow, we haven't seen that in a while. Charles Leclerc trying to lead, but Max is going to hold it around the outside of turn 2. Aiden Jackson is blown off the line, supposedly. He's already up to 12. Now, Aiden Jackson made a bunch of positions on the start. Here's why. Vintage Aiden Jackson right up towards the wall. Aiden Jackson, oh my word, he's off the circuit there. He didn't make any position, so he'll get away with it. And then he passed Gasly afterwards. He was right up against the wall, Aiden Jackson. That was brave. Brave move by Aiden Jackson. He needs to do that this weekend because he's certainly facing a very efficient car in a straight line, although he was passing Piastri or Norris there. I think it was Piastri. Rather, Norris is rather further ahead of us. Looks like he might get it. He's going to go down the outside. That's going to be a closing door. And I think there was contact. Guess I shouldn't be surprised. Turns out he hasn't learned anything. This kid, man, needs to learn some patience. Kind of with Devon on that one. Devon Butler, and is he passing Esteban Ocon? He is! Devon Butler with another move! Devon Butler certainly is proving a lot of critics wrong this season because, like I said, he has done brilliantly. He's right, giving Bottas just about a car's width. He was passing Sonoda in the middle of it, and Devon Butler is now up to 15. It's not the first time Jackson's passed someone here. Well, rare move. George Russell on Max Verstappen. This is George Russell on Max Verstappen. Where did George Russell come from? Oh my goodness, he was the second behind Verstappen. Now he takes the lead. Mercedes are there again. Well, that certainly would have caught Max Verstappen off guard. It certainly caught me off guard. What a move by Russell, but now Verstappen will have DRS and take that right back. And Devon really doesn't fight that one too hard. And here's Jackson around the outside of Montoya. And Jackson is going for moves everywhere. So Max Verstappen, once again, chased by Mercedes, but once again, the race winner. He wins the 2023 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, but it's not by the postcode we thought. Well, we may be bad for the second running of the Miami Grand Prix, but in all honesty, that's pretty secondary, as all the build-up and news leading up to this week has actually been a cause for celebration for the sport, as Cadillac have finally been confirmed as the newest team, due to enter in 2026, of course, alongside the new technical regulations. After many talks following the company's first bid in January had been rejected from the F1 group due to the engine rules that are requiring General Motors to manufacture their own. Despite this rejection, Mario Andretti has continued to team build, starting with the personnel. We hear that former Marussia CEO Graham Loudon will be the team principal, Down Towers will join as CEO, and Rob White is the COO, while Nick Chester will be the Chief Technical Officer, and other names include Pat Simmons, John Thomason, and even Xavi Marcos, of course current race engineer of Charles Leclerc. On the driver's front, the team has been heavily advocating for a top American talent in one of the seats at least. Colin Herter leads this list, which includes Pietro Fittipaldi and even Joseph Newgarden, although really that's more of an outside shot. Looking at the possible free agents for that point, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Sergio Perez, Yuki Tsunoda, Daniel Ricciardo, Valtteri Bottas, Joe Guan Yu, Nico Hulkenberg, Kevin Magnussen, Logan Sargent, and Aiden Jackson are all out of contract by the end of next year, of course. Of course, we highly expect Mercedes to stick with Hamilton and Russell. Probably no surprises there, to be honest. But where will that leave Aiden Jackson, perhaps? Perez and Tsunoda will be on a performance basis, of course, as is Red Bull tradition these days. Audi will be at Hulkenberg by 2026 regardless, so that rules him out. As for the others, Riccardo, Bottas and Magnussen would provide a wealth of experience, but Sargent also very much matches that American driver requirement. The interesting man, as we just touched upon there, is Aiden Jackson, current Mercedes reserve driver who we're led to believe is being courted to a race stint by 2025. But he is also being monitored by Aston Martin, which has been the case for a couple of years now. Zach Brown and Andrea Stella of McLaren both think very highly of him, as they've quoted over the course of the last couple of seasons, but unfortunately, seeing it's McLaren and Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri have barely just got started, that seems like the most outside outcome, or the least likely anyway. But Audi will be very keen to reunite their partnership in 2022, of course. But in all honesty, I think the highest chance is that Jackson would much prefer to stay at Konnersport if there's no Mercedes seat available, rather than start over at yet another new team. Another possible option, of course, is 2022 F3 champion and current F2 championship leader Joshua Pierce. Now, Pierce is currently affiliated with APX as they also look towards a possible 2025 or 26 entry slot, and it is on absolute tear in F2 at the moment. Since Apex doesn't have a route to F1 for the moment, they're looking to work with another F1 team to take him on loan for the time being, and Konnersport have emerged as provisional frontrunners for this. As for current day matters this weekend, Konnersport, as we spoke about there, are looking much better than they did in Azerbaijan, thankfully, and also were able to clear the air with their two drivers, as Jackson on review did own up to going for a closing door, and he starts 7th, while Max Verstappen starts from pole position for the first time through a qualifying session at least this season. Oh yeah, and it's raining for the race start. Thanks, Aaron. And speaking on Max Verstappen, he'll take us on the circuit lap for the Miami Grand Prix, which of course made its debut last season and became an instant favourite. And Max won that race too, by the way.
That is the checkered flag, so we are boxes lap.
Well, it made its debut last year with a splash. This year, we're literally going to be having some splashing, as the Miami Grand Prix, for its second year on the calendar, is at least starting as a wet race. This could be fun. Aaron Hemwood for round 5 of the 2023 season is, of course, your commentator for the Miami Grand Prix. Thank you, Chaos. Good afternoon, morning, or evening, wherever you're watching from today. Welcome to a very wet Hard Rock Stadium. Well, we're actually just outside it, but even still, it's raining. And normally, that would mean one of two things. Either a Max Verstappen procession or a Lewis Hamilton procession, two of the best wet weather drivers on the grid today. It could be at least one half right. Max Verstappen's on the front row. Nico Hulkenberg, as you can see there, starting from the very back. I do believe he had a couple of grid penalties to announce. I guess we'll check it through in a moment. There's Aiden Jackson, who we still don't really know how good or supposedly still has to learn in the rain yet. It's been very hit or miss over the last 2 years. Well, 19 corners, and we do have 2 DRS zones here, but we're not going to be using them, at least for the start of this race, because, of course, in the wet conditions, it is disabled. Probably rightly so, given the corners that are so notorious for this circuit. Homeboy Logan Sargent starts in the right back today, alongside Hulkenberg on the back row. We go for the grid. Riccardo and Bottas. Devon Butler still struggling in qualifying, but he did get 18th behind Lance Stroll and behind Yuki Tsunoda and Joe Guan-Yu. Kevin Magnussen alongside Alex Albon. Sergio Perez is one man taking a grid penalty, so he'll start with 12 as a result. We're going to the top 10 with Pierre Gasly and Oscar Piastri. They're on to 8th alongside Aiden Jackson back towards the front after Konnersport struggles in Azerbaijan. It's George Russell alongside Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc alongside Lewis Hamilton. But look at the front row. Max Verstappen, probably not much of a surprise. But there's Lando Norris again. And for all McLaren's worrying at the start of the year about their supposed performance and what we saw from Friday practice in Bahrain, McLaren have really come on stride since then. So as we've said a couple of times already this year, if this is how good they are now, imagine how good they will be once their huge update packages come in around the middle of the season. And, well, we could get even an early look at that today. Lando Norris right on the front row, might be the best opportunity to pass Max Verstappen if possible. But Norris has gained quite a characteristic for himself of losing places off the start. So this would be a good time to put that right today. And the other man to keep it on, Oscar Piastri up there in P9. Is he out of position? One would have to think so, due to McLaren's pace over at least the last couple of rounds. And Konnersport once again having a bit of tale of two halves. Jackson back in the top 10, but Devon Butler, as we said, seems to be qualifying seems to be really his Achilles heel. He started towards the back in all but one race, and that was back in Bahrain. But he started inside the top 10. He has not scored inside the top 10 since. So Devon still needs to work on his one-lap pace. But as we know, the Konnersport car is quite a nippy one. It's just a shame that it didn't really amount to any points in Azerbaijan whatsoever. Because straight line speed was their Achilles heel definitely there. It is a long back straight here, but it's the only one that Konnersport really have to worry about. Of course, it's going to be kind of, what's the word? You know, kind of not really mean for much here, because of course we're in the rain, so power is not really a kind of thing that, you know, the rain the rain always equalizes the field. I'll get there down in a moment. So as power is all of a sudden not really a thing, it's more about your wet weather driving skill. And as we said at the top of this show, Hamilton and Verstappen have bundles of it. And keep an eye on him, Lewis Hamilton that is, as we know how good he is. And Max Verstappen in particular. And probably a couple of unknowns as well. Alex Albon, will he get more points for Williams? He's certainly in a good position to do it. That car certainly seems a lot stronger. But for poor homeboy Logan Sargent, he once again starts at the very back. He's becoming quite accustomed there, unfortunately.
Superb parking there, mate. Let's make
of
sure
course,
we get the edge
being at the back means you are the least likely to get into any sort of trouble. So if there's a whole calamity at the start, which could be very of high possibility here given the conditions, maybe Logan Sargent can take advantage of that. Let's find out. Here come the 5 red lights for the Miami Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go for 2023 here in Miami. And it's Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. But Lando Norris seems to have got a better start already at the turn 1. He's going to take the lead. Is he? Yes, he is. And Jackson's made a couple of places as well. I think Perez has fallen down a place. No, he's moved up to 11th, my apologies. And the big winner, Lando Norris. We said he was probably growing a name for losing positions at the start. Today, no such problem. Lando Norris leads in the McLaren as Aiden Jackson is challenged by Carlos Sainz and George Russell behind him. Of course, being George Russell, one of his kind of teammates, as it were. Let's have a look further down. We've got Perez. He moved up a place. I think he was 12th. Albon has dropped to 13th. Devon Butler's actually, I think, stayed 18th, so he's kept out of trouble. And Logan Sargent actually has made a place off the start. And Nico Hülkenberg is now at the very back as he continues to struggle in that kind of new car of his, because the Haas is probably a totally different car to what he's been used to. And poor Nico Hülkenberg, it was great to see him back on the grid after being, well, not axed really, but rather called up by Raven West to replace Carvalho last season in the Grid World Series. He was, obviously Audi wanted to keep hold of Jackson at that point, or prototype Audi anyway. Good to see Nico Hülkenberg back, but he's really having a tough time at the moment, as he is last. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, 2nd and 3rd. We were talking about them in their wet weather credentials. Maybe they'll have a chance to showcase that today. Maybe there'll be an inevitable collision, as there always seem to be between these two. The hard, fierce competitors that they are. Jackson seems to be struggling because he's very much struggling to keep Carlos Sainz behind him, as he's looking very eager to take 5th place. But for Jackson, he has made 2 places off the start because he started 7th. So a bounce back result for Konnersport certainly wouldn't go amiss after their real problems in Azerbaijan. So Norris leads from Verstappen, and not only that, he's actually keeping him very honest as well. He's within the 2nd, but of course there's no DRS, so that'll help Norris out and then mitigate the advantage that Red Bull had in a straight line with the DRS activated. Hamilton's 3rd alongside Leclerc. It's a Ferrari sandwich with Jackson in the middle of it. Russell's 7th, Alonso's 8th, Piastri is still 9th, Gasly. It's actually moved up to 10th in the Alpine, rather unknowing to anyone really, just out of nowhere. Further down, Perez is 11th, 12th Ocon, 13th Joe Guan Yu, 14th Magnussen, 15th Tsunoda, 16th Lance Stroll, 17th, my apologies. Butler 18th, 19th Riccardo, who just really is struggling in that AlphaTauri at the moment. Bottas 20th, Sargent 21st, and Hülkenberg at the very back in last place. So here is the replay of the start from Lando Norris, who didn't get off particularly well, but had a great second phase, and he was almost out of shape heading into the braking zone, but somehow it gave him enough speed to pass Verstappen in the corner. And here's the start from Jackson. I don't think he got away very well either. Everyone very tentative probably in the first phase of the start, given the conditions. But very much like Norris, gets an absolute, well, some sort of power boost, probably from the ERS mode, to pass Hamilton and Sainz there, up into P5. And on we go then. Lap 3, no DRS enabled, of course. And, well, last year we had the very much an odd spin in very similar conditions. I think it was raining at some point last year as well. We had that odd spin from Lance Stroll, which brought out the safety car and mitigated Hamilton's advantages as he was leading at the time. It's a bit different today. It's his former team McLaren leading this one. And Norris is pretty much rather comfortable where he is right now. So McLaren, as we said, looking very good, and they're probably going to be a lot better in the middle of the year. We'll have to wait and see. I guess, as we said, Piastri might be a bit out of position down there in P9, battling Alonso. Well, despite the improvements from Aston Martin, it's not been the, let's say, big performance jump that we expected. I mean, we weren't really expecting them to win races because of Red Bull's advantage, but we certainly were expecting Alonso a lot higher up than maybe P8. They're probably going to be alongside at least the Mercedes and Ferraris. And right now, Stroll is struggling towards the back, and Alonso is stuck in not really a DRS train because there's no DRS enabled, but certainly in a train of his own right now. And there's going to be, I think there's a bit of gap forming between Alex Albon and Zhou Guanyu, and the other gap is Sainz to Russell. As so actually, there is a bit of a gap behind Leclerc as well. Leclerc and the 3 race leaders ahead of him have broken away from Jackson and that trade as well. And Perez, how far will he get? He has a lot of passing to do, given the Red Bull's current advantage. You'd probably expect Perez to be rather comfortably passing these guys, but not so at the moment. And, well, as long as Jackson can see the leaders, Konnersport will certainly take momentum from that. Positives, that's the word. But Jackson wasn't the fastest guy around here last year, although he did make a couple of passing maneuvers. But it's certainly a track where Jackson rather had one of those lonely races, where he passed a few cars, but I think he was down towards the end of the top 10. Of course, in the prototype, Audi their potential wasn't fully realised yet, and they actually drove in a different livery, of course, with the abstract car. No such liveries in the plans for Konnersport so far this season. I'm sure they're probably holding that, maybe for Vegas, which could be quite interesting when we get there. But we've got to get through this one and the United States Grand Prix at Qatar before we head over there to the West Coast and the rich state, as it were. Well, Verstappen is keeping in touch with Lando Norris at least, so that would be a positive for Red Bull. But as we've said, Red Bull have not been the runaway winners we expected them to be. Max Verstappen has won almost every race bar one, and that was at Saudi Arabia. And he also, I think he won the sprint race in Azerbaijan as well, but they weren't by clear margins. Not by clear margins by any stretch. So Max Verstappen probably, though, given the car advantage, is probably just biding his time. We are expecting rain to clear up maybe about 10 or 15, 20 minutes from now. This rain front is moving away, so that will clean the track up a bit. Well, make it dry anyway. Same thing, really. And well, Devon Butler, we've been singing his praises for the most part this year, and I think we're going to do it again because he's doing very well, keeping Lance Stroll on his toes. But again, as we said, it looks like qualifying is going to be Devon Butler's Achilles heel for most of this year at the moment. He's kind of struggling to get off the last 2-3 rows of the grid, aside from Bahrain. That's what you have Aiden Jackson for, to get your points. But of course, Konnersport scored a big 0 in Azerbaijan, so it's not the big surprise that maybe Audi was. Audi scored 2 podiums at this point last year, prototype Audi that is, both with Aiden Jackson, as Hulkenberg was struggling in DRS strength. So it's not really been that much for Konnersport, although they will take the win on the board, of course. So in a way, the one win has probably evened that out a little bit when you think about it. And boy, Logan Sargent in a whole heap of trouble at the back here. Just absolutely not able to get anywhere near a passing maneuver, and his teammate Alex Albon is rather showing in the way, really. And here's Perez, round the outside of Pierre Gasly. Finally, the Red Bull is starting to stretch its legs. It's not an easy pass, though. Gasly holds on to the position. Now, if Perez gets a good launch out of the chicane here, it'll put him in prime position down the straight, even without DRS. And let's see. Oh, he got a decent exit there, Perez. Let's see if we can... Oh, we're not going to stay on board with him, which is rather unfortunate. Rather good to see. Let's see if we can pick Perez out in the camera moving here. I don't think we can. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like Perez has been able to actually make the move. So even though the Red Bull is probably in some form or other light and day ahead of the Alpine, Perez is not able to extract that pace at the moment. Max Verstappen looking a lot closer to Lando Norris this time around. But Norris once again in the McLaren, really showing the potential the McLaren finally has. Are they finally able to unlock the pace or unlock the performance that we thought McLaren would have since these new regulations came into effect last season? It was basically a whole chassis redesign, to be fair, and the chassis has always been McLaren's strongest asset, even after they lost Adrian Newey when they had him back in the 90s. In the early 2000s, he moved on to join Red Bull, and they've reaped the benefits of it. But today, the chassis is still McLaren's strongest kind of asset in their car, and these new regulations would have suited them the most. And finally, Perez has made his move on Pierre Gasly up in 10th place. So Perez is now back in the points after, well, he had a decent qualifying. He just had to take through a grid penalty due to exceeding a engine component pool, which a lot of drivers have already taken penalties for, including Devon Butler, who did in Azerbaijan. Unfortunately, he's kind of stuck in this train at the moment. So Norris is still leading for Verstappen, but Verstappen is still in striking distance. You have to have a feeling that strategy is going to play a big part in this one, because I don't think we're too far away from a dry track. It's definitely looking a lot less wet out there now. There's no real moves at the moment, probably just waiting for the conditions to change. Jackson is keeping 5th ahead of Carlos Sainz, but is still losing out to Leclerc in the process. So by law of averages there, as Piastri is falling down the field, what has happened to Oscar Piastri? He spun the car apparently, and he stopped as the engine cut out. Oh, and I think that was Devon Butler who slammed into him. What has happened there? Oh, and Devon Butler, he lost his front wing at the absolute least worst. Safety car deployed. What happened to Piastri? And Butler's pulling to the side. It looks like he's out as well. Piastri has survived. Well, we're going to find out what happened right now. Makes that corner cleanly enough. Oh, he's lost it. He's lost it a mile off, and he spun the car. The car does not comply with that movement. But Piastri, for some reason, he goes into reverse. That is bizarre. There is a runoff area that he could easily drive into. He doesn't move. And then he moves a little bit. He catches Butler out completely. I don't think that's Devon Butler's fault. I think Piastri has to take a blame for that incident. And then he moves onto the side of the road. Oh, Devon Butler, a very unfortunate victim.
What the f is he doing there? There's a runoff road. He just stopped. I was spooked and now... Oh, sake. What is he doing? See it, Dev. We see it. See it. Keep your head, man. Can you get it back? Nah, I'm out.
So Devon Butler is out. Too much damage, I suppose.
Alright, Aiden, safety car deployed, mate. We think that it's probably going to dry out by the time the safety car finishes. So we're going to put you on the mediums. Copy. Is that Devon in the wall? Is he alright? Dev's fine. He just got blocked out by Piastri. I think it was a lockout because Piastri had just stopped on the middle of the track. Not really sure what's going on there. I think it's a bout of confusion. Okay, copy.
Well, there's certainly a bout of confusion in the pits. Lando Norris may have just made a colossal error here because Verstappen and Jackson and most around them have pitted for dry tyres, but Norris went on. So, Lando Norris, a colossal error by McLaren. I'm not sure why they didn't even think to double stack. Mercedes certainly did, and I think Ferrari did as well, and a colossal error from McLaren because Norris will have to pit at some point. Piastri's just made it into the box now to change his front wing. He survives. Devon Butler is out of this Miami Grand Prix, and I truly think you cannot put the blame on Devon Butler. I mean, to be fair, I think he lost the car as well, But Piastri really should have taken to the escape road there. And poor Devon Butler is really just an unfortunate victim of that. And, well, we know Piastri's a rookie, but a bit of a rookie error there by Piastri. He just didn't get out of the way, and then he was reversing twice with a runoff area in front of him. So, bizarre. I'm not sure what Tom Stallard was telling him on the radio, but either he lost radio communication or just he did the right thing by keeping out of the way, but then he sort of reverses into Butler, but then Butler's locking up anyway. So it's kind of half one and half of the other, to be honest, but I think that's probably more Piastri's fault for just not getting out of the way. Really. Well, calamities at McLaren, because not only is Piastri now last and having to catch up, now Lando Norris is going to be last because, yes, he is coming in for the dry tyres. Well, it was all looking rosy for McLaren, but it's all gone downhill now. How Piastri survived with damage to his front wing and Butler didn't, I have no idea. Maybe the suspension broke on Butler's car. But really, to be fair, when Butler hit Piastri, it was side on. So Piastri's a lucky bunny, to be completely honest, because he probably should be out of this race as well. And, well, actually that's not worked out too bad for Lando Norris. He's pretty much, he's not in a whole heap of traffic, although it's going to become a heap of traffic in a lap or so. So, everyone's on the dry tyres now. So that's going to enable DRS 2 laps after the safety car pulls in, at whatever point that is. Advantage here goes to Max Verstappen, because we know Konnersport is not as quick as the Red Bull yet in race trim. So, if Verstappen is counting his lucky stars here, he'll be hoping, and I don't think Jackson would do this intentionally, but he'll be hoping that Jackson can hold up everyone behind him, because Mercedes have certainly been the biggest threats to Red Bull this season, as was proven by Russell in Azerbaijan, briefly passing Verstappen for the lead. And Mercedes are definitely back on song in 2023 after a rather lackluster 2022 by their standards, with only 2 wins in the whole of the year. We know it should have been 3, with Hamilton being robbed of almost certain victory in Hungary due to an engine penalty. And I think we're hearing that the safety car is coming in, and in this lap you can tell by the yellow flagboards, the boards on the side of the track with the yellow lights on, but the safety car light had gone off, meaning it is coming in. And now Max Verstappen will do his tried and tested control of the field. You can't pull up alongside the car in front of you, so Jackson has to stay behind. He can't do his own move that he learned from Verstappen on Verstappen. What irony that would have been if that was a thing, but it's not. And here we go. Green flag. And Verstappen now leads after just really biding his time, and the race falling into his lap because of the calamities at McLaren. And Jackson, very much as we expected, probably is going to be holding those behind Verstappen up. But look already how quicker that Red Bull is now that we're on the dry tyres. These tyres should make it to the end of the race. It's not a heavily tyre punishing circuit. There are a couple of corners that punish the tyres, but it's not very high on tyre wear. It's probably quite moderate when you think about it. But look how quickly the track has dried out. That's quite sensational, considering we've been going at nothing more than maybe 100 miles an hour. Maybe less under the safety car. But already Verstappen is stretching his legs. Jackson can't keep up at the moment. Already lost a second. No DRS enabled yet. And was that Norris passing Tsunoda? It was. So Norris makes the first move for McLaren in this race. Sargent has passed Hulkenberg somehow. Not really sure what's happened there. Maybe Hulkenberg's got a problem, because he's been behind Hulkenberg for the majority, but Sargent got a good restart. And despite it being a straight with no DRS, Jackson has actually been able to claw back into DRS range, although I think he's just as quickly going to lose it right now. Well, there's no DRS enabled for this lap. So, it's now Verstappen from Jackson. Hamilton, Leclerc, Alonso, Russell, Perez, Gasly, Sainz, and Ocon. That is your top 10. Albon back into 11th now. So he made a couple of places in the pit stops. Probably both actually by both McLarens. And a bit of a calamity they're having today. So Norris has already cleared one AlphaTauri. Now he's chasing the Alfa Romeo with Zhou Guanyu. He's probably one of the big benefactors from that whole kerfuffle. Up into P12. As Alfa Romeo, very much like AlphaTauri, probably the biggest strugglers so far in 2023. And we've got Hamilton passing Jackson here. And this could be a vital move for Hamilton if he can get this done quickly enough, which he does. Jackson holds it in around the outside. And going to go hunt the inside now for the next corner. And Jackson is staying side by side with Hamilton in that section. And he couldn't make the mistake. That is crucial for Hamilton now. But he lost too much time to catch Verstappen. Well, it's a fierce scrap with Aiden Jackson, as it usually is. When you race Aiden Jackson, it's always a fierce scrap. And of course, with no DRS, but he's going to have a look down the inside. Aiden Jackson, isn't he, in the Konnersport car? And here we go. And it's going to stay side by side with that corner. And it's tremendous racing here by Hamilton and Jackson. Look at this side by side through 3 corners now. And look at this. Hamilton and Jackson with this drag race down to turn 1. Well, if Hamilton thought Jackson was good before, he'll definitely think it now. And who has come out ahead? Hamilton, he has. But that was tremendous. It was a complete drag race through the final king corner into the start-finish straight. And tremendous battle there. But Jackson just does not have the pace in the Konnersport car of the front runners. That is for definite sure. And now he's battling with Charles Leclerc. And trying to hold it in around the outside. And he did so. Oh, look at this action. If this is, look at this. This is actually tremendous stuff. And it's Hamilton and Jackson putting on a show, as they have often done over the last couple of years. Jackson loses it a little bit in the final corner, but somehow he's able to pull up alongside Hamilton. Look at that. Both competitors giving each other that car's width of space that's absolutely vital when battling another car. And Hamilton outbreaks the Konnersport and puts it into second place. Tremendous stuff. And yet again, every competitor that races Aiden Jackson has the faith and the trust in him to race as fairly as you can do. We know Jackson is not one for causing an incident, although after kind of Azerbaijan, some people will probably oh no! Oh, the Konnersport engine gone! That's Jackson engine gone! Oh no! It's going to be another 0 points for Konnersport. What has happened there? Jackson is out of the race, and maybe that's why he was losing out to Hamilton and Leclerc earlier. And it was a bigger failure. Oh no. And once again, Jackson falls out of the race.
Oh no, drive's gone. It's a box of neutrals. I think I'm out. Can you bring it back to the pits, mate? I don't think so. Sorry guys.
Box of neutrals. That's a gearbox problem for Aiden Jackson. Hydraulics is gone. And it's another big 0 points for Konnersport today. And it looks like that honeymoon period is most definitely over. And because Jackson is trying his best to get back to the pits, the safety car has now been deployed again. Oh, what a shame. Aiden Jackson yet again dropping out of the race from a points position. And, oh man, what a dreadful shame. Well, it's not for the lead that it was in Spa, but it's from at least second or third place. Well, the one positive Jackson can take from this is only his second retirement in Formula 1. And as of now, Jackson still has a 100% finish record when the car doesn't let him down, meaning he has not been part of a collision with the wall or another driver and retired as a result. And that run still goes on, but today Konnersport's race is done, as they will probably pack up and go home and prepare for Imola. And well, it certainly sounds like a box of neutrals. He's pretty much running it probably in low power first gear mode. And I think because he saw a gap to the side there, he is pulled off there. He thought he could bring it back, but I think even if he did, it probably would have been inevitable or all for nothing. It looked like a bit of a terminal failure. So the safety car is out, and we have changed into a Ferrari 1-2 with other drivers making a free stop. It looks like the Ferraris have been the big benefactors, as has Fernando Alonso now. He's in P4 or P3 ahead of Verstappen and Perez, and well, hasn't this thrown the race on its head? And safety car is out again. So just before we had that blowout from Jackson, George Russell had set the fastest lap. Apparently the game is showing signs of setting it up now, but we'll see if George can beat it on the final lap maybe. So, because of all the mix-up with the safety car, it looks like the Red Bulls had a calamity in the pits. And now we have a Ferrari 1-2 with Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, followed by Alonso, and then both Red Bulls. Lance Stroll has benefited somehow in P6. The Mercedes have dropped behind him. And now the lap cars can overtake.
Lap cars may now overtake.
So, absolutely no danger of Abu Dhabi 2021 all over again. We don't want anything like that happening anymore. Zhou Guanyu is the only one who is unlapping himself. Strange, because I think Zhou Guanyu was just on the outskirts of the top 10. So, I think the second pit stops have really shook up the field. Now, I wonder if there would have been questions over this medium tyre maybe not making it to the end of the race. Now, Sainz is on the mediums at the moment, and now he leads this race, so he's staying out. So that's why Sainz has the lead, because I think the Red Bulls pitted for softs. They did. Verstappen is now on the softs now, so that explains a lot. So Red Bull putting on the softs and hoping that the superior car advantage and having Max Verstappen, which would count for a lot to be fair, can make it all back up. So I guess people with about 15 laps to go are thinking, let's put the softs on, apart from the Ferraris. Wow, what a shake-up this is. You can have anybody winning this race right now. Well, it's certainly not a bit of procession, I'll tell you that for free. We've certainly got this weird order right now. But unfortunately, it's a big VAT 0 in points for Konnersport again. And as we said, maybe that honeymoon period is over now. With Jackson getting that surprise win in Saudi Arabia, it's been pretty much all struggles for Konnersport since then. They did get points in Australia, but with Jackson, but in 2 consecutive races, they've scored 0. Jackson's second retirement in about, I would say, about 30 races now. Jackson's been a lot around than 30. He's probably approaching like 50 races at this point. I think there was 20 or 21 in 2021. And there was 22 in 2022. So that would be 43. And then we've had 5. So that would be about 48. Jackson right now. Joe is still coming round. Now, the race director, Niels Wittich, is here today, and he can restart the race even if Joe hasn't formed up on the grid yet, which I think he's going to do. We'll see in a moment, I guess. And yes, we do.
Safety car will be in the
So even though Joe hasn't formed up at the tail end of the snake,
it would just be
the race is going to be restarted. I'm not really sure how I feel about that, to be honest.
Use the pace now.
I've always said that maybe we should all form up first, but it's under the race director's discretion, and that's one of the big arguments of 2021, of course.
Copy.
Whether it was
Okay, Lando, you
well
can turn recharge
received
off
or
if you
not
want to.
is up to debate. But in any case, we're not going to have anything like that today. So, a very surprising Ferrari 1-2, because Red Bull have been caught maybe a bit flat-footed. Because we just came off a safety car, and then 1 or 2 laps later, it's out again. So, it's been a bit of a... Well, this Grand Prix is definitely livened up a bit now. Carlos Sainz takes off in the lead then. Followed by Leclerc and Alonso of all people. Keep an eye on him. We could finally see the Aston Martin's pace come to fruition here. And this could be an absolutely crazy last 12 laps. Let's get racing. Well, Lando Norris, who fell to the back, or towards the back at the end of that first safety car period, is probably the big benefactor now.
Time to push on these tyres.
Piastri has passed, oh, well, he didn't pass Joe Quadio, he was at the back anyway. So, Lando Norris is now up to 13th behind Hulkenberg, and he's already kind of losing time to Hulkenberg massively. So, McLaren may have a bit of a gremlin in that car. Look at Sargent, the hometown hero, up in 14th, so he's benefited from the chaos. Because he made 2 places with no choice. Oh, and that's Alonso passing Leclerc! And we've gone to Piastri for some reason. I'm not sure why. We really should be seeing this. He's locked up, and his mare of a race continues. And I think he's shot the tyres, so he'll be coming into the pits again.
Keep looking after the tyre.
And, well, and Alonso did pass Charles Leclerc, so Fernando Alonso is P2, and does he have a chance to win this race? His first race win since, I believe, 2012 or even 2013. It's been a long, long wait for Fernando Alonso. It finally could be over if he gets a move on and passes Sainz. And we've got problems with McLaren again in the pit stop, as if McLaren didn't have any more problems today. It's a slow start, but of course they had to change the front wing anyway. But, well, anything that could go wrong for Oscar Piastri today has gone wrong. And, well, that's just the way it goes. Oscar Piastri, this is definitely more of a learning race for him, being one of 3 rookies for 2023 alongside Logan, Sargent and Devon Butler. Devon Butler's out of this race. And Logan Sargent is fighting his teammate and Lando Norris all over P13, of all things. Now, I think Verstappen has gone ahead of Perez, so
Pack is high.
it's going to be interesting now to see what Red Bull do from here. And will they be able to keep up with the Ferraris? Will Fernando Alonso actually have a chance at winning this race? DRS should be enabled at the end of this lap, I think. And we're hearing that Lando Norris is kind of overcooking his tyres. I'm not surprised. Will wants to get a move on in trying to get back into the points. And DRS enabled. So we really should be watching Fernando Alonso right now. Here, thank you very much, race director. We want to see this because we want to see Fernando Alonso possibly taking the lead here as he has a look around the outside of Sainz. Thinks better of it. Well, it's a bit like the Master and the Protege here. Sainz and Alonso, obviously very good friends. Obviously. And he has taught Sainz a few things, although Sainz had just as good a teacher in his old man. That was more for rally cars. Alonso was the Formula 1 teaching side of things. And here we are looking at the Red Bulls. And I think that's Verstappen, who's fallen behind Perez. That's rather unusual. I guess the Red Bulls are free to race at this point. We've got a yellow flag. We're hearing that Lance Stroll may have spun somewhere. There he is. He did. And he's right in the middle of the track. Now, will that result in a safety car, do you think? That's probably more of a safety car scenario than Jackson's was. Because that It's probably very similar to what happened to Piastri, but thankfully I think everyone has gone through it. And maybe that's why. Because Butler inadvertently went straight into Piastri from there. So that's now Lance Stroll has wing damage. I wonder if he'd be called into the pits for that by the race control. Well, this race has been totally flipped on its head now. And I think that's DRS with Verstappen. He goes round the outside of Charles Leclerc. And nothing doing there. And Lance Stroll's in the pits. Now, will they fix the rear wing? I don't think there's a lot they can do. You can probably... You have to make sure it's pretty much intact enough to race. Well, final tally laps of this race. These last 15 laps have been absolutely crazy. And Stroll changes his tyres. I don't think they did much about the front wing. You can't really do a lot as it is. And for Oscar Piastri, well, it's pretty much a test session at this point.
And overtake is available.
Yeah, confirm.
And, well, they had the front row, but McLaren just don't really haven't had the pace in the second set of the race. Probably mostly due to tyre wear than anything else. Look at this, Alex Albon down the inside of Lando Norris. It's Williams passing a McLaren. What is going on? Now we've got another replay. It's the race leader. It's Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz going for the lead. Alonso hit him. Oh my goodness. Collision in the front. Sainz and look. Alonso will crash. And oh my goodness. We change again. So what does that mean now? Well, it means Charles Leclerc is in the lead, followed by Verstappen. What is going on here? This is absolutely crazy. Now Alonso and Sainz came to blows, of all things. And I don't know whose fault that was. We're getting it's being investigated. It's noted by race control. And it's a time penalty for Carlos Sainz. That seems a bit harsh. I think it was Alonso going for a move, to be honest. Maybe it looks like maybe Alonso didn't give Sainz enough space, which actually could be an argument. Well, Sainz didn't give Alonso enough space, rather. That could be a valid argument for why that's been given. So, Alonso's in, as is Sainz. There'll be first words said about that later. We were just saying how good friends they were. That might put a damper on things. As Aston Martin changed the front wing, and of course Ferrari had to wait 5 seconds. And they'll have to change Sainz's front wing as well. So, really, they both came off much worse than they entered the corner. And oh no! Oh, it's Hulkenberg now! Hulkenberg's in the wall. Safety car deployed. Oh my goodness!
Lots of debris where the
And
was.
that's a pretty big hit shot for Hulkenberg. He was towards the back anyway. And he just lost it. Oh my goodness. And the Williams there of Alex Albon pretty much veered into Lando Norris to avoid that. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Well, safety car is out again. And that's a pretty hefty hit for Hulkenberg, but thankfully he is out of the car. But, wow.
Trying to stay right on the belt.
Well, that's DRS disabled again, obviously. And who does this favour right now? Well, Verstappen, maybe.
And Oscar, the pack is good.
But I don't think anyone's going to be making any further stops. So Leclerc and Verstappen have absolutely benefited from calamities at the front between Alonso and Sainz. And, well, that was really unfortunate there. Sainz was adjudged to have made the avoidable collision, which is probably fair enough when you look at the replay. Well, let's take a breath and let's regroup and let's go again in a few laps' time. Wow, what an absolutely crazy race. Now, listen to this. We've got Leclerc leading from Verstappen. We've got Perez. Then we've got both Mercedes. Esteban Ocon apparently is showing us P6. Gasly's showing us 7th now. Tsunoda is 8th. Where did that come from? Because the AlphaTauris were towards the back, but there's been all sorts of carnage going on, I'm not surprised. Albon 9th, ahead of Norris, who's back in the points now. So, despite the calamity in the pit stop, Norris has actually got his way back up to some points. Logan Sargent is sitting in 11th place, unbelievably. And after starting at the back in almost every race so far this season, Logan Sargent is staring at a point. Williams, that's absolutely crazy right now. Well, what a race. And the safety car makes its third appearance of the afternoon. I think we only had one safety car appearance last season, because Rod Stroll had put it in the wall at the last corner after spinning it. This season, Stroll has spun once already, and we've had calamities and contact everywhere. Piastri and Sainz are still trying to catch the back of the queue. Alonso has now got ahead of his teammate somehow, although Stroll did spin it, so there's that. And we might even finish under safety car here, because that was up against the Volkerberg. We don't necessarily have to, of course. I think the incident has been cleared away, and Sainz and Piastri are almost at the back of the snake, so we might get going again before too long. For a moment, Verstappen was behind his teammate, now he's ahead of him. And Perez started 12th, so the fact that he's third or fourth right now is quite remarkable, to be fair, but that is Red Bull's car advantage for you. Well, Charles Leclerc, we've not seen this for a while. Ferrari leading towards the end of a race is really because Red Bull and Verstappen have been so dominant in the wins department, if nothing else. We also had that win for Jackson in Saudi Arabia, but Ferrari have been under the radar a lot this year so far, but now they were leading 1-2. Now it's turned into a 1 and a 17th car Sainz in this crazy, crazy race. Now we're on lap 51 of 57. I think we could restart, you know. I do. I think we're going to get probably a 5-lap shootout here. For Charles Leclerc, well, we called last year the year of destiny for Charles Leclerc. It rather didn't go that way. But he was able to win a couple of times in 2022. He's staring at his first win of the season here today. And it's absolutely nuts. Miami Grand Prix has been crazy, to say the least. You know, the safety car pull in at the end of a lap. I don't think there's any reason why it shouldn't. It may be because Leclerc slowed up a lot there. Only the Burt Mylander will make a decision by the beginning of the third and final sector of the track. And I think we're going to go round again. And after all that, the sun's out as well. The sun lit up this Grand Prix, that's for sure. I mean, it wasn't dull by any means, but we've had a crazy last 15 or so laps of this. Both Konnersports were tiring after Devon Butler lost control of his car and slammed into a rather stranded Oscar Piastri, although really he should have got out of the way.
6
we've
laps
had
to go.
Collision between Sainz and Alonso when they were both leading, and we've had Hulkenberg in the wall. Well, this game says Kevin Magnussen's been out as well, so that's something. I don't think there's any reason why the safety car will be pulling it at the end of a lap. So we are probably going to get the final few laps of racing. And that's 52. So that 53 would be about 4 or 5 laps to go. And let's see if this race restarts. It should do. Hulkenberg is cleared. And the pack is all formed up. No unlapping to do. Because that was done at the second safety car period, which was out after Aiden Jackson was retired with supposed gearbox problem, it looked like. Of course, Bernd Mailander will be told before the first sector when he is required to come in. Should know any moment now. There we go. Safety car is coming in then. Well, yet again.
For the restart.
And will it be out again? That's going to be a legit question. Aiden Jackson not waiting around.
Let's attack.
To see the end, his day is over, as is Butler's.
Use the overtake.
Konnersport as a result as well.
Stay close.
So we're going to get a 5 or so lap shootout then for the win of the Miami Grand Prix.
Yeah, okay.
They've been making mistakes, so let's put them under pressure.
Confirm. Yes, use the
Of
chance.
course, you have to give the safety car plenty of space so you don't overtake it before the start-finish line, because that is, of course, the rules. You can't overtake until the start-finish line.
Okay, the leader is dropping back from the safety car.
There's a few cars in the back here that are rather not following the regulations there. They're all spread out, probably trying to find some clean air, but here we go, green flag. We're not racing yet, but we're getting up to speed, and here we go. There's the green flag. Verstappen very close to Leclerc right off the start.
5 laps to go.
Confirm.
So that was William Joseph telling Norris there's about 5 laps left. There's plenty of time for hopefully McLaren to gain a point or two here. And not to be deterred by their earlier contact, Sainz and Alonso are at it again. And could be vital here. It looks like Norris and Albert have pulled away a bit from the Sargent. There's no DRS for 2 laps, so that'll enable itself on lap 55. By all accounts, as Perez has a look at Verstappen. And is Norris. That's pretty close to Albon, but he's got no DRS, so I find it difficult. Although, to be fair, on law of averages, McLaren should be finding Williams easy pickings, but apparently not.
Just be careful with this tyre.
Yeah, confirm.
Well, Piastri's making a move. It's the first move he's done of the day.
Key thing is to keep
passing
the tyre in good shape.
Lance Stroll, who's now dropped to 17th.
Copy.
4 laps to go.
Recharge on. Copy.
So it's looking good for Norris to get his first point of the not the season, but a point from today, which has been a bit of a calamity day for McLaren. After all that, they look like they're going to at least get a 1 point, if not 2, if Norris can pass Albon here. Without DRS, again, it should be easy pickings, but of course the Williams is a much improved car over the last season, or many previous ones for that matter. And it's finally coming good for Williams as a collective. And Verstappen is having a look at Leclerc. Has he got enough pace in the car to pass him, even without DRS? The answer is no. And Norris, I think, had a look at Albon. But I don't think he had the pace to finish the move there.
DRS enabled.
So, 3-lap shootout with DRS.
3 laps to go.
I think all Norris has to do to get 2 points here would be to stick as close to Albon as he can. Well, Sargent may even be doing the business for his teammate, really, to guarantee at least a point for Williams. Because he's lost out to Lando Norris now on pace. So, Williams are at least going to get a point in this one. And, oh, that's a... Who's that? That's Verstappen passing Leclerc. That's Verstappen passing Leclerc for the lead again. And now down the straight, who will have DRS? Who was behind in the detection point? We'll find out. It was Verstappen. And that will give Red Bull the advantage down the straight. And Perez might just follow him on through as well. And he couldn't do so. And Norris has DRS on Albon here. But again, even with the DRS, Norris is struggling past the Williams. So McLaren don't really look out all at it on this Grand Prix. Penultimate lap. And Max Verstappen is now your race leader again.
2 laps to go.
Now the most interesting battle on the track is this for P9 for Lando Norris. We have another yellow flag.
Yeah.
And what is it this time? I'm hearing it's Stroll again, who was spun again. And, well, he hasn't stopped spinning since last year, really. And here we go. Into turn 1. Lose the back end completely.
No need to push the tyres.
It's another spin for Lance Stroll. And he's had a bit of a day to forget here in Miami today. But we still don't really know who's going to win this race. Because Leclerc and Perez and even Hamilton have kept Verstappen honest at the front. Let's see if Norris can pass Albon here. And around the outside, and there's 3 wide ahead. I think that's Leclerc. No, that's both Alpines and Tsunoda, who were 3 wide, and Norris has passed Albon only momentarily. Final lap. Verstappen still leads.
So how many laps are left?
This is the last lap.
Yep, one more lap and one more opportunity for Norris to pass Albon, because Albon was able to hold him off.
Okay, to close the gap.
And Piastri is actually still looking at Carlos' side, so he's had actually a look at some top cars today. It's been a race to forget for Oscar Piastri, in all honesty.
Overtake is available.
Okay.
And round the outside goes Lando Norris. He turns to the inside. He does the Aiden Jackson selling a dummy there. And he got him. Beautiful move there by Lando Norris on Alex Albon. It's a fantastic move. Well, Lando Norris is not devoid of racecraft, that's for sure. Beautiful move. But at the front, it's a familiar sight. Through all the carnage, trials and tribulations of this year's Miami Grand Prix, it's Max Verstappen who wins again in 2023. Max Verstappen wins the Miami Grand Prix. We're used to it at this point. And Norris will finish at the points for McLaren. But probably a question of what could have been for them. Because Norris probably should have been in the running for the win of this one.
It's the checkered flag, so we are boxes back.
Why did they not box Norris in the first safety car? I have no idea. So bizarre. I mean, Oscar was coming in, but he was a long way behind. But it gives Max Verstappen another win. I mean, let's be fair. The car probably earns it for him on his own anyway. It certainly did today. And, well, that is 4 wins out of the first 5 for Max Verstappen. They've not all been by dominating pace, but it probably doesn't look like that on the board. So here's what the game gave us after the simulation of that race, after Jackson's retirement. Hamilton finishes second then, ahead of Leclerc and George Russell. Vital points for Mercedes then. Perez actually went up to 5th. Sainz and Alonso were actually 6th and 7th despite their collision. Norris actually went up another place. He must have passed Gasly. And look at that. Oscar Piastri, despite being the cause of the first safety car into the back around the time of Jackson's retirement, the game simulation gave him a point anyway. That is mental. Albert Sonoda, Joe Guan Yu, that's a good respectable 13th for Alfa Romeo in a season which has been kind of wretched by their standards really. Albert 14th in the end, that's unfortunate. Riccardo down in 16th, and that's probably on pace alone. The AlphaTauri does not look good this year at all. Both Konnersport out of this Miami Grand Prix, and another 0 for them today. Max Verstappen then increases his lead in the championship. Lewis Hamilton still there in second though, but he's now 51 points behind Verstappen. That's literally a 2-race lead, or a 2-race win lead that he has there now. Perez is third, ahead of George Russell. Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, Aiden Jackson drops to 7th now. But he's much clearer of Alonso at the moment. Lando Norris down in P9, and Piastri P10. So maybe there is some rise from McLaren. They've not been the all-point scorers. So maybe those updates will definitely come in handy when they arrive later on this year. Albon, Ocon, Sonoda, Bottas, Ricciardo, Sargent and Hulkenberg still have yet to score in 2023 for Nico Hulkenberg. That's hugely unfortunate. Probably bringing deja vu back to the memories of last year. Red Bull established their lead at the top of the constructors. They don't really look like where they should get despite, well, at least right now, we're only at round 5, don't forget. McLaren had a Konnersport now, and Aston Martin are on their tails. But, well, it was a carnage for Miami Grand Prix, but once again, that's the familiar man stepping onto the podium on the top step yet again. That's 4 out of 5 now for Verstappen, and even though it's not been by insurmountable margins, this era of dominance doesn't look like stopping for Red Bull anytime soon. Next will be Imola when Formula 1 returns, as we end today coverage of a crazy Miami Grand Prix. We'll see you in Imola when Formula 1 returns.